I think this dietary assessment course would be of benefit to anybody really who's looking at assessing intake of nutrients or of foods.
This course is certainly of relevance to public health nutrition professionals, really anybody who's collecting dietary data or interpreting other people's dietary data could certainly gain from attending this course.
It was actually a really interesting session, and it's nice because it's quite a small group. And so people are able to sort of stop you. It's quite informal. I think all of the speakers had people stopping them to ask for clarification throughout. And so it's we got some quite good feedback with some really relevant questions, and they seemed to understand once those questions had been answered.
We've adapted the course over the last 3 times that we've done it, and obviously we'll continue to do that again, partly in response to feedback, just for logistics, to allow more time for discussion, and we certainly like to include more practical exercises so people can really get a feel for the methods that we're talking about. And also, say it is a developing field, so even in the time that we've been doing the course, things have moved on and there are some new technology and software programs that we can use, so we try to incorporate those more in the teaching.
The final session on the day is actually about how technology supports dietary assessment, because we're using advances in technology to make it easier for people to take part in surveys, to make it more accessible so that it combats some of the recruitment bias, and also to make it easier for people to include dietary assessment in their studies.
The kinds of questions that we tend to get from delegates, not surprisingly, are related to their personal research that they're undertaking, but because we deal with quite small numbers of delegates on each course, we can actually give them really good answers to those questions, I think, and we always incorporate one-to-one sessions so that people can ask their specific questions, because of course, although we try and provide general information, we know that everybody comes here usually with a specific study in mind or a specific method that they want to use, and so often their questions relate to those methods, how they can validate them, even just which method to choose. If they're lucky enough to be at that stage of their study, then we can help them decide which is the best method they should be using.
I think it's really interesting to sort of see the different range of people that are using dietary assessment, the understanding that they come in with of what dietary assessment is, and I think the course is very good in terms of giving people an appreciation of the different methods, but also some of the considerations in terms of some of the limitations of the dietary assessment methods. I sat in on Margot's session, which was on dietary pattern analysis, and it was absolutely fascinating. It gave me an insight into, I'd heard a lot about dietary pattern analysis, I had a vague idea of what it was, but now I feel that I've got a much clearer understanding. It was really useful to sit in on her session.